Each day, just before they go home, workers at Amazon are required to spend about 25 minutes going through a security screening to be sure they're not stealing anything. Should the company pay them for that time? Well, the Supreme Court recently ruled no. Doesn't that sound kind of unfair? In fact, it's just one of the several non-work demands that employees often have to endure, and often without compensation. Let's talk with business attorney Kristen Prinz. She's the principal of the Prinz Law Firm. And this was a unanimous ruling by the court.
Yeah, it was pretty unusual. It was drafted by Justice Thomas, and he said, hey, this isn't a requirement necessary for the employees to perform their job, so it's not compensable.
So that's the language that determines whether or not there should be compensation, whether it has anything to do with the job.
It's been vague for a while. A lot of people would have said if it's for the benefit of the employer, it should be compensable time. Obviously, a security screening to see if your employees are stealing from you is for the benefit of the employer. So I think it does add some clarity now that really it has to be specifically related to the job duties.
Okay, give us some other examples of where employees are required to do things, but they're not paid for that.
Sometimes it's standing in line, punching in. If there's a big rush to punch in and punch out at the end of the day, that would not be necessarily compensable. Or if an employee is required to wear a uniform, but the uniform is really not required for performing their job, that could be not compensable.
So like an Ebola nurse has to put on all that space gear, and that can take, I don't know, a half hour or more to put on. They're not paid for that.
They would probably be, most nurses are going to be exempt, but if they're not exempt, they probably would be paid for that because that would be central to performing the duties of the job. So.
Right. Well, you said it's somewhat gray, but you think there should be a line that companies would be able to see and know I can't cross that line and force them to do something and not pay them for it.
Yeah, I mean, there should be a line. Clearly, they're trying to make a little bit more clear line, but there has not been a clear line. And I think the most surprising thing about this case is that these are low-wage workers, and Justice Thomas said, hey, this is something that they can bargain for. Well, usually low-wage workers don't have any bargaining power.
Unless they have a union, but how few are members of unions these days?
Less than 6% of private employees are unionized, I believe, right now.
Yeah, so the higher-paid employee can negotiate that, but typically not the smaller.
Yeah, and what's very funny is that higher-paid employees now are being found to be non-exempt, and they're getting overtime. They're getting compensated for things that in the past they might not have been compensated for.
Kristen Prinz, thanks so much.
Thank you.